All right, fellow teachers, today I'm going to talk about doing class evaluations or course evaluations and how you'd go ahead and create one of those in Google Forms. So the reason I like doing it is because from a business perspective, my customers or my clientele are my students, right? At the end of the day, like there's other things involved like parents and the board and the state and whatnot, but at the end of the day, my students are my clientele. And so I want to gather feedback from them and data on how I'm doing as a professor, or I'm not a professor, but as a teacher, or as as a class as well. I want to know how the class was, because some classes I might do better at than others. I want to know all that. So this is just my example, right? So I talk about course evaluation. I make it anonymous. I gather some basic things like grade level, what class did they take. Okay. I also like gathering what level of effort they put into school. Because like students that maybe aren't putting a ton of effort in, I might be able to look at certain questions and gather better feedback from those kind of students than others, right? Same thing with attendance, right? Like maybe kids aren't coming because they're bored in my class or whatnot. So I like gathering that data. But then I also do evaluations. So they basically evaluate these different things for me. So for me, I want to know if I'm an effective lecturer, are my presentations clear? Am I stimulating student interest, right? These different things. This is my favorite one to do, is the multiple choice grid, which we'll talk about in a sec. I also like doing just a general, would you recommend Mr. Corney as a teacher to your friends, right? Because at the end of the day, it's what's called a net promoter score. And at the end of the day, if students want to or are willing to suggest you as a teacher to their friends, then that gives you a good idea that you're doing a good job. It's kind of like a simple, just one question, yes or no. And then there's some other things I put in there. But then I also give some options for some open feedback, right? So you have to have tough skin if you're going to do something like this, but it will help you become a better teacher and improve your class. Okay, so what's really nice is in the responses, I can see a nice, organized, colorful chart of these different things. Right, so I can see like 34 of my students said they put put good effort into school. Right, I have some solid attendance. Okay, and then I'm also able to see the breakdown of these different questions. So like this one, instructor was available and helpful. Like I know I'm doing a good job with that, right? But maybe something else like this one has a high yellow, right? That I'm not an effective lecturer. Okay, so that's something I know I need to work on. Okay, and then there's also all this good feedback. Okay, so teaching you how to do this. First thing you need to do is go to Google Forms. So I think you can get there through the dots, or you can just type into Google Forms, right? And then you can go ahead and create a blank document or a blank form. So I might type in course evaluation test, okay? So this is where I'm going to put my questions in. You can see I'm in the questions tab, right? So maybe I want to know grade level, right? Or what grade are you in? So then it'll sometimes spit out automatic options, right? Which is always nice. And then since we don't have freshmen, I can just remove it. Okay. And then when I want to add another question, there's just this plus button over here. That's an easy way to add your question. So I was showing you earlier the multiple choice grid. Okay. So this one would be like, make the following sentences most true. Okay. So, in the right, the columns are the ones that you are like the scale, right? And so what I mentioned earlier was you want to have four options, not five. If you have a fifth option, if you do odd numbers as far as options go, people will usually stick to the middle. So that's just a little trick with marketing, is that they try to make it so there's four options, not five. You want to avoid people being stuck in the middle, right? Like, oh, I'm going to sit on the fence on this one. Okay, so I usually do strongly disagree, mostly disagree, mostly agree, and then strongly agree. Those are the options I like. And this is where it just depends on what you're trying to gather, but like instructor was good at presentations or lectures or whatever, right? Lectures. Okay, and so then students will have an option to say, I strongly disagree, mostly disagree, right? And that's where you'd put that information in. And then if you want to test to see what it looks like when you click back out of that question, this is what it would look like for the students. Okay, and you can also flip it really, right, if you wanted to. It just depends on what you're trying to do. This is the easiest way to do that. Okay, so after you're done putting all the different prompts, right, like let's say you wanted to also add one that was, I don't know, short answer, like what did Cornea do well, right, or whatever, and you can move them around. Okay, but that's a basic of how you create that. Okay, once you're done with creating it, what you need to do is share it with your students. So you'd hit send. If you want it to be anonymous, what you need to do is actually go to settings though. And as far as responses go, you click that drop down. It looks like right now it is anonymous, right? Because it's not collecting email addresses or anything like that. It is right now set up where it has to be a Jordan District email. So if you want to have that, if you want to turn it off, you can always click that off. Okay, once you have that setting set up though, you hit send, and then you're going to just click this this embed. Well, if you want to embed it into Canvas, you click there. If you want to have a link, you'd do that. Okay, and then you would just copy the link and post it into Canvas. So yeah, that's my little TED Talk. So hopefully that helped you figure out how to create a valuation for your courses. So let me know if you have any questions.